In a world where silence often speaks louder than words, I found myself captivated by a moment that unfolded without sound. Yes, you heard that right. An entire interview captured with laughter, real questions, and genuine emotions, all while the audio slipped through the cracks of my memory. But instead of despairing over this misstep, I chose to embrace the fullness of the experience in a different way. Meet Chloe, an art student in the picturesque city of Bordeaux. Her journey in performing arts has taught her to communicate through the body, to express the inexpressible. As we sat together, laughter flowed freely, and our conversation danced from light-hearted jokes to the profound mysteries of existence. It was a delightful chaos that felt both spontaneous and deeply significant. As we drifted deeper into our dialogue, the atmosphere shifted. We began to explore the weighty questions of life and death, pondering what lies beyond our earthly existence. "Do you believe in reincarnation?" I asked, the words hanging in the air like a soft whisper. Chloe's response was clear and unwavering. For her, the concepts of heaven and hell were distant, almost foreign. Instead, she focused on the tangible, the journey of the human body after life. Chloe spoke of decay, of how our physical forms return to the earth, merging with the air and the world around us. This transformation, she described, is not a sorrowful end, but a beautiful continuation, a natural cycle. It was a perspective that felt refreshing, almost comforting in its honesty. As the conversation evolved, she revealed a desire to donate her body to science. Not a straightforward decision, but one filled with contemplation. On one hand, she saw the potential for her body to serve a purpose, to educate and aid others even after her spirit had departed. On the other, she grappled with the reality of what that meant, being studied, dissected, and handled by strangers. It was a complex, layered emotion, one that she navigated with grace and curiosity. In those moments we laughed again, breaking the tension with bursts of joy that contrasted sharply with our deeper discussions. The video reflected this dance between the profound and the playful, capturing the essence of our shared humanity, those moments of laughter interspersed with heavy thoughts, the joy of being present while contemplating the vastness of existence. As I revisited the footage, a cascade of emotions washed over me. It struck me that I wasn't merely capturing a moment. I was intricately woven into it, reacting in real time to Chloe's profound reflections. We delved into concepts rarely broached in everyday conversation: death, the human body, existence, and the inevitable end of it all. Surprisingly, the atmosphere was not laden with heaviness or darkness. Instead, it felt liberating, as if we were free to explore these profound questions together, allowing them to exist without the weight of expectation. Chloe's perspective on the body was particularly striking. She viewed it not as something that simply ceases to function, but as a physical entity that undergoes decay, eventually merging back into the earth, air, and environment. This transformation was presented not with fear, but with a calm acceptance, grounding the idea in the natural cycle of existence. It reframed death from an end into a continuation, making the distant feel immediate and real. She spoke candidly about the possibility of donating her body to science, revealing a complex contemplation rather than a simple affirmation. It was a thought-provoking space. On one hand, the idea that her body could still serve a purpose after life, contributing to the understanding of human existence. On the other, the daunting reality of complete surrender, of being studied by strangers in an unknown setting. This dichotomy was not easy to navigate. It demanded a shift in perspective, a stepping outside of oneself to view existence anew. What made her reflections even more authentic was their fluidity. Chloe's thoughts were not fixed or rehearsed. They resided in that in-between space of ongoing contemplation and questioning. Amidst these heavy themes, our interaction was delightfully light-hearted. We oscillated between deep discussions and laughter, seamlessly blending serious moments with bursts of joy. This contrast infused our exchange with humanity, making it feel genuine and alive. Chloe herself radiated a unique energy, one that was unmistakable. She embodied movement and vitality, always in motion, always engaged. Her warmth and passion added intensity to our conversation, making every moment feel vibrant and heartfelt. There was an infectious spirit about her, impulsive yet grounded. She embraced life with an authenticity that was palpable. Even when she spoke English, her second language, her effort to communicate clearly was evident. Sometimes pausing to find the right words, she never faltered or held back. This dedication to expression, even in imperfection, highlighted her deep appreciation for connection. In a candid moment, she expressed her love for English accents, a simple yet pure sentiment that introduced a delightful levity into our conversation. It was one of those small, human details that does not seem important at first, but actually stays with you afterwards because it breaks the weight of everything else we were talking about. And that is what kept happening throughout this interview. We would move from very heavy topics like death, the body, what it means to exist, and then suddenly fall back into laughter, into jokes, into these small moments of lightness. That reminded us we were still just two people sitting there talking. It served as a reminder that even within profound discussions, there is always room for humor, and for those small human moments that bring us back to each other. This kind of moments that do not try to explain anything but still mean everything in their own way. And that contrast is what made the entire experience feel so real. Nothing was one-dimensional. Nothing stayed in one emotion for too long. Everything kept moving between depth and lightness, between thinking and just being. Looking back at the footage now, it no longer feels like a lost interview. It does not feel like something broken or incomplete. Instead, it stands as a genuine document of two individuals navigating the complexities of life, death, and the body while forging a connection amidst uncertainty. And that connection is what remains. The most important part. Not perfect words, not perfect sound, but the way two people can sit together and enter a space of questions that do not have easy answers. Perhaps that is what truly matters. Not the answers we found, but our willingness to explore these questions together, to stay in the unknown without rushing, to fill it with noise or certainty. Because even in silence, this moment does not disappear. It still speaks, just in a different way. In just a different way. What this moment really showed is that these are exactly the kind of conversations we should be having more often. Not because we are trying to solve something or sound smart, but because they force us to slow down and actually think about things we usually avoid. Because talking about life, death, the body, and what it means to exist is not something extra. It is something fundamental. It is part of being human. And even if these topics can feel difficult or uncomfortable at first, that is exactly what makes them important. They are inevitable questions, not optional ones. And maybe that is the real value here. Not finding clear answers, but learning to stay with the questions without running away from them. Learning that it is okay for things not to be fully defined, and that uncertainty is not something to fix, but something to understand. And even through all of this, it is important to remember how this actually happened. This was not a formal or perfect discussion. At many points, we were literally making fun of the situation, looking directly at the camera, breaking the serious moments with laughter, and just being completely natural. about it. That mix of humor and depth is what made it feel real, instead of heavy. And that energy is also very much Chloe, because Chloe brought not only her thoughts, but her way of seeing life into this conversation. Her perspective on the body, on transformation, and on what it means to even consider donating her body to science added. Something very important. Here, something grounded, honest, and thoughtful. And that kind of perspective is not something you forget easily. So I really want to thank Chloe for that. For her openness, her honesty, and for sharing. Such a different way of thinking about something so universal. It added depth to this moment, in a way that goes beyond just words. And so, to close this video, thank you for watching. We hope this made you think. We hope it made you feel something. And we hope to see you in our next one.